Hey, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I could hear you. You heard me okay?
Yeah, sorry about that. I was talking and then it turned my mic off, but I think we should be good. Sorry about that. A little bizarre.
Totally fine. Yeah, I we did another space before this, and I don't know if it's Twitter or me or what, but there was some technical issues. If for any reason this rugs or something, or I end the space and it's before the kind of time's up, I'll just remake another space. I'll invite you, but let's get it started. So, what's up, everyone? It is 8:10. We were trying to start at 8 o'clock. Technical difficulties pushed it, but when you face obstacles in life, all you could do is, face them as they come and overcome them. So, whatever, it's 10 minutes, move on with life. Don't let these things get you down. But we're here with Simulacra. Uh, just want to learn, again, like this show is all about what people are passionate about, what people are doing in life. I think that's where the value is. That's where it is for me. Hopefully, you feel the same way in the audience. And, so we want to dive into what Simulacra is passionate about. Now they are working on a project where they have this kind of metaverse that they've built, at least to a demo portion that I've had the pleasure
Mhm.
of checking out. It's kind of this awesome, magical, cartoonish world. Um, the PFP or profile picture that Simulacra has. That's the avatar in this world. It's really cool. It looks like there's going to be some sort of like points or reward systems to, unlock certain activities in there. But, a lot of people talk about building. And this is pretty much, a lot of it's built. Again, I'll let you talk about what's kind of open to the public and not. But at least from the demo that I saw, I was impressed. It looks really awesome. And again, like it's something that's accessible at least on the demo level. So
Yeah.
it's really cool that you've produced not just kind of building phase, but why don't you kind of kick it off and let us know what everything is all about.
Exactly. Hey, well, thanks so much for having me on. It's great to connect, to get to talk about what we're both excited about right here and into the future. So yeah, I mean, you did a great job just overviewing what we're about. It's how do we make immersive web experiences, air quote metaverse, air quote immersive web, air quote web XR. There's a lot of words going around, but for us, it's how do we make these social browser-based experiences that are 3D, right? That run right out like you're on Twitter right now. You would just be on a different website, but in a 3D space with other people. How do we make those types of experiences impactful, powerful, and accessible to mainstream America? I mean, I think like you kind of alluded to, over the last year, we saw a lot of projects, metaverse projects, NFT projects with a lot of people that were, building or working on stuff, and there really wasn't anything there. There wasn't anything to try. There wasn't anything to see. So we wanted to go in the exact kind of opposite direction and actually start making something that is usable today that we're just going to keep building on top of, right? So like you said, you get to hop into one of our spaces, and I mean, everything's a demo always, right? Until it's not. So yeah, we're super excited of kind of what we've built and how we've made it super easy to use, right? I mean, we're really focused on the average user. How do we make extraordinary technology accessible to everyday people? And I think we're getting pretty close there. So that's kind of that's our main philosophy, I guess, as you approach all of this. Maybe a little bit more background
Quick
about
question for
us.
you
Yeah,
about this.
of course.
Did you were you involved at all? And I'm sorry if like we already talked about this in it or whatever, but were you involved at all with the V Minders kind of meetup in the universe?
Yeah, no. So that's a great segue. So the guys over at Flexi, shout out Flexi. I think a lot of the people, hopefully a lot of people and more people in the VFriend space know about these guys because they're super passionate about what they do. They're our buddies from here out in the Twin Cities, Minnesota area. And yeah, so basically on our platform, we built out a gallery for the Flexi guys. So they make these really cool pieces of art, right, out of your NFTs that you have. And a lot of them are three-dimensional, right? They're pieces of wall art that have multiple layers to them. And they look so cool in real life and they look so cool in 3D that like it's really hard to comprehend them on like a two-dimensional website, right? Like they'll post about them
And just to
on
clarify for the audience here, right? So
yeah.
Flexies, it's something where when you buy it, right, you get an NFT version of it, to my understanding, and you get like an actual physical product version, correct?
I think so. I mean, they're also collaborating with a lot of projects where you get the rights to make a physical replication of the digital NFT. So I think there's a little bit of back and forth. I don't want to speak for them on exactly what their roadmap looks like, but they're doing a lot of interesting stuff in the space, especially with VFriends. I know they've had a couple VFriends pieces made. They sent one to Gary that's sitting in his office that you can like see when he goes live and stuff, which is kind of crazy. Um, but yeah, so we developed a 3D social space for them to use as both a really cool way to actually see what their product looks like. And then yeah, we held a big meetup. They worked really hard with VMinders to get I think like almost 60 people, kind of in an exclusive raffle. To go into the space. They had some really good giveaways, and yeah, that was an awesome event. I mean, it really showcased. It was fun because I think a couple of days before we had a Twitter Spaces getting people pumped for it, and then there's like kind of a message group that we're a part of on Twitter that like everybody was super pumped. Everyone was sharing their pictures of being in the space, and it was a great just use case of the social value that it brings to an online community to actually give them a space to hang out and really a sense of presence to hang out with people. Like, right, you and I are talking on Twitter right now, but we go and hang out inside of our platform, and it's like we've met each other, which I think is a really big deal these days, and will be increasingly going forward. Right.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Like, it's all about kind of bringing that feeling or, the joys and pleasures of a real life experience. And how do you try to replicate that in the metaverse? So, obviously there's this logical part of your brain that goes, okay, this isn't really happening, so to speak, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a digital experience, but how do you achieve, right, that suspension of disbelief where it's like watching a movie where you just fully kind of lock in and engage in the experience, and having that physical avatar that you can kind of identify with and kind of channel yourself into. I think 100% it amplifies the experience. So I think you're right about that. One thing I just want to say too for the audience, just want to give a shout out to VMinders.
Mm-hmm.
VMinders stems from Gary Vaynerchuk's NFTs VFriends. If you don't know Gary Vaynerchuk, no offense, I think that's a mistake. I think you should definitely check him out. But basically, he has an NFT project called VFriends, based around a lot of positive traits and qualities, and just inspiring kindness and goodness, basically, in the world. VMinders is something that stems off of that. And if you've ever heard of Dude with Sign, that's largely the image or framework or idea behind that. If you hadn't heard of Dude with Sign, it's just a guy who wrote a cardboard sign, almost similar to like how homeless people are asking for help or money or food. It's that same thing, the image of the cardboard sign, but instead of asking for something, you put a really positive message on it. Dude with Sign, if you haven't heard of that, he usually puts like a meme or something funny, or like stop putting pineapple on pizza or something like that. VMinders takes it in 100, and sometimes they do positive messages too. So I think that's cool. But VMinders takes it 100% in that positive direction, where you take a character from the VFriends that you identify with or identifies a positive message. One of my favorites is the adaptable alien. Well, one of the first VMinders I did was, I just wrote on a cardboard, box kind of thing, like a piece of it. Adaptation is survival, so surviving and thriving at the same time. And you just take a picture of yourself holding it, and you put it out there to the world. You could hold it in public, you could hold it in Times Square if you want. It also stems from this thing where Gary Vee did one, and he said, stop giving a fuck or stop caring about what other people think. And he stood, I think, in the middle of the city and held it. And, that's fucking awesome, because he didn't care what people thought about him doing it. So it just totally reinforces the message. But yeah, just shout out to VMinders, and, not to take away from you or, to get too far away from, discussing your passions, but got to give a quick shout out to VMinders because it's definitely a tie in. I was at the event.
Mm-hmm.
There was a giveaway for people who had done VMinders. VMinders does a ton of giveaways. So if not just for the sheer positive aspect of it, there are sometimes prizes to win for doing them. So yeah, check out VMinders. But enough with that tangent and go ahead.
No, I mean, completely agreed. Like they put together an awesome event. They've got a super excited audience. Everybody who was there had a great time. We got some great videos of people jumping around, people talking about, being from all across the world in a space together is really something. So yeah, I mean, even watching VMiners and being in some of those groups, like it's exciting to see people using their platforms for good, right? Even just like yourself talking about positivity and being passionate and really everything that Gary talks about. Like the internet's an interesting place sometimes, so it's really good to see these groups that are focused on the positives in life. And I think we do like extending that as part of our platform, right? I mean, there's a lot of places on the internet where people can be negative and bad things can happen. But, we're really about when you're in a space like this, versus a 2D chat or a Zoom chat or whatever, right? Like it is about being respectful of others while you're in there. So that's something that we're trying to, continue to learn from. So watching VMinders and everything that you guys do, we're definitely taking notes on how you can build the internet to be a better place, right? So shout out to everybody who's trying their best at that. So we're just taking a few notes from those groups and extending it to just our little corner of the world out here.
100%. Now, question for you: if someone listening wants to check out what you're doing, I know I partnered with you and I had the demo access. You know, um, when will this be accessible, or how accessible is this to the public? I know you did the kind of private room for VMinders. If there's another group or an NFT project or whoever that's listening that has some sort of organization and they want to reach out to you, I would love to
Yeah.
kind of be an inspiration for that or a door opener to give value back to you and help you out. Is there anything you want to kind of tell anyone who might be listening? How do they kind of get involved?
Yeah, completely. That's a great segue. So the other space that you get to check out, kind of our new whimsical space we're calling HQ. It's kind of our home world. It's a landing spot. We've got a lot of cool art in it. It's going to serve as a place where we can do demos, meetups, more live events into the future. We're actually hosting a big launch party in there tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Central Time. So 8 p.m. Central for those on the East Coast, and those in the States, you can do the math on your if you're an hour or two behind us or ahead.
And to
If you're
clarify,
in, if,
how do you access that?
yeah, so we've got let's see if I can post it into here. We've got a um, we've got an Eventbrite link that we're kind of just getting RSVPs on, similar to how the VMinders group did it. You can go to bit like it's a Bitly link, so bit.ly/HQ launch. That's going to be a place where you can just grab a free RSVP, and that's just the way where we can drop you the link and the access code to the space for
And I
tomorrow
would say
night.
feel free to drop the link on the actual space, you know, tweet or what you know what I mean.
Yes. And so, yeah, we've got almost 100 people signed up for that too. We're trying to make this kind of our biggest event we've ever had, which will be close to 100 concurrent, which for a web-based space with spatial audio is pretty solid these days and age, just based on general internet capacities. So yeah, we're really hoping to have it be a fun time. We're going to be doing some giveaways as well. Again, taking a few keys from VMinders, get the people excited about coming out, reward people for showing up and having a good time. So we've got a couple NFTs actually that we're going to be giving away in the space for the first 100 people that come. We've got a couple special NFTs from one of our local artists, Cats Will Eat You. That's his name on Twitter. So if you don't follow Cats Will Eat You yet, shout out to Mr. Semke at that project, because what he's doing is really cool. He's been making digital art every single day for coming up on 16 years. So talk about work ethic and some of those other good traits that we talk about. He's really out there kicking some butt. So we've got some
Yeah,
NFTs from him. We've got some.
that's incredibly impressive. Now, some people in the audience may be wondering, oh, I'd love to check this out, but I don't think I have the NFT for this, right?
Yeah.
Now, I think I know the answer to this, but do you need an NFT for this?
Yes, that's another great segue. So I mean, kind of in line with our accessibility, right? there's so many people still on this planet, right, that don't even haven't even dipped a toe into blockchain, Web3, NFT, right? So we're all still in a very small percentage of the population. So you really do, by implementing too much of that stuff right now, you really close off these opportunities to a lot of the world. Will we be utilizing more of that technology in the future? Sure, of course, everyone will be. But yeah, so accessibility is the name of the game. So right out of a web browser, from your computer, your Mac, your laptop, your desktop. We're not on mobile yet, but we'll get there soon enough. This is mostly just because of the users we've worked with in the past. Everybody's has a work computer. Everyone's doing Zoom calls. Like that's kind of where we live these days. And so we're like, all right, let's build for that. Let's build a really good experience that works out of the desktop, or laptop, the web browser. No login, no
And now,
download,
real quick,
no
just to
NFTs.
simplify
Yeah.
for the listeners here, I think I definitely get what you're saying, especially since I've accessed it. But
Mm-hmm.
the answer would be 100% no. You do
Yeah.
not need an NFT. You don't need to buy anything. You don't need to spend any money. You don't need to connect any sort of wallet and have any sort of risk of, a transaction or anything getting drained or
Mm-hmm.
anything that could cause anxiety. You could just log in through your internet browser, for free and check out this world. Correct?
Yes, yes. Thank you for translating for me. Yeah, we're keeping it super simple. Just like you would go to any website, it's going to be the same concept. You get to make a name. You even get to pick out a cool colored outfit for your avatar, and then you're in, right? Like three simple steps. And just another reminder too is that you don't need a VR headset. I think we're, from our roots, we're kind of a virtual reality and immersive technology company. So some people think like or they get confused with everything that Meta is doing, and they're like, "Oh, I don't have a VR headset." It works right out of the computer, right out of the browser, just like you're going to a website. So, yeah, I mean, I think, like you said, it's tough, but once people try it, they go, "Holy smokes, this is going to open up a whole nother world of how we're going to be interacting online," and that's what we're really pretty bullish on right now. And so, I think as we continue to work on this platform, find more partnerships from brands, from communities like yourselves with VMinders, VFriends. We love seeing that kind of excitement. So when we do an event, people want to come out and they want to talk about what they're into. I mean, I think the guys at Flexi are going down to Miami here next week, but after that, we're going to work with them hopefully to be hosting some more events in their space. We got our launch tomorrow night. We've got a couple more projects coming up that I can't speak to quite yet, but I think that a lot of people in your audience will be super interested in. So I'd love to talk about that maybe in a couple weeks when we're ready to go. So yeah, it's we've been doing this for a while, but it's also kind of still the beginning. The last couple of years, people have been recalibrating. There's been a lot of stuff going on, but coming into 2023, I think everyone's really excited for new things and new ways of connecting.
Yeah, 100%. One thing, just to kind of flesh it out, right, for the imagination of people trying to picture what this is that maybe haven't seen it yet, maybe on the fence, right?
Mhm.
One of the features that I liked or enjoyed about, this metaverse that's been built is when you get close to people or further away from those people, it's correlated to how well you could hear those people or
Mhm.
whether you could hear those people, or not at all. Um, and some people, I don't know, maybe some people wouldn't like that, right? But I love it because it gives it more of that feel of reality. It gives it that feel of being next to a person or your avatar is, and that's the person you're talking to, that's the person you could hear, and you're not hearing all this other kind of chatter of, yeah, there's these other people in the metaverse or in the space, but maybe they're having their own conversation, and you don't necessarily want to hear that, or I think I don't want to hear that while I'm trying to have my own conversation or connect with somebody else. So I don't know if you want to talk about any
Exactly.
other cool features you like, but just I love that particular feature. Other things I like the emojis, I like the or emoticons or whatever you call them, where or gestures, I think maybe you call them, where you can, there's I think it's funny. You have a twerk gesture in there, and you can kind of dance around. You could wave. Um, I don't know what you guys have planned, but feedback wise, someone who's used it, and I would imagine maybe you guys are thinking this, but I would love to see even more kind of twerk or dance or, different kind of, gestures or whatever, emoticon things that you could do. I think people have fun with that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you get to a point where people buy and sell those or there's rare
Yeah.
ones or whatever. But yeah, if you
No,
want to go ahead and
another
tell me what your favorite features
another
are, but
great
that's definitely one of mine.
yeah, another great segue on the features for sure. I mean, yeah, we get we're not trying to replace reality. This is just another great option, another great way to connect, to mix it up. We're all finding different ways to be on Discord and Slack and Twitter Spaces and social media and Zoom calls, right? I mean, this is another piece of the puzzle that I think is really refreshing for a lot of people who haven't done something like this before. And agreed. We find it ironic because we all get in there and then sit around in a circle, like we do in real life, because that's how people talk when they're in a group. And so you'll walk up to the group, you kind of make your way in like you do in real life and introduce yourself, and then pick up to what everyone's talking about, or add to the conversation. It does make it nice because you can have sidebars. You can be like, all right. I mean, even tomorrow night, talking to the Flexi guys and other V friends, if they want to even start talking about VCon for next year, like they can be like, hey, we're going to go meet out on one of the islands, kind of in the distance, and we're going to have like a focused conversation within our event that maybe isn't explicitly VCon focused, but like there's going to be people there that want to talk about that or want to talk about Art Basel, etc. Right? So it's cool when you get a big group of people that are kind of like-minded enough that they want to go off and have maybe a more focused conversation, and our space allows for that. So yeah,
Yeah,
and,
and
and
on
I
like a
think with
Zoom
the all
call,
the
right? It'd be
dance
something
moves,
like you might call that like a
yeah,
breakout room, or like that maybe something like, coming from Web 2, people are already familiar with. And it just adds that extra,
mm-hmm,
layer of like being in a kind of breakout room of, having that physical avatar where, you could see yourself walking around and interacting and kind of, imagine the personalities of the people you're talking to onto that avatar. And it just, it's just that
yeah.
depth that, is the metaverse experience. So some people, again, on the fence, skeptical. I'm definitely trying to kind of help people see what's so cool about this. I would love to have more people involved. So again, definitely shout out to that feature. But go ahead.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I agree with all that. It's even a lot less complicated than setting up a breakout room in Zoom. You're just like, we're just going to walk over here, which is kind of great. It empowers people to just go and do their own thing, right from within the platform. Yeah, I was just gonna say we actually just got a Slack message that we've got a few more emotes down the line, because we agree. It's like, how do we make it so that you can, give this visual feedback to, like, yeah, I'm digging what you're saying, or maybe I don't quite agree, or I want to celebrate something. So we're going to be building that out maybe in time for tomorrow's event. Don't quote me on that, but that's on the short list. And then a couple other things, that we're really excited about is just getting like more features in there for screen share or for admins, just so like when you're kind of running your own event, you can control it. You can bring in music. You can do it. You can bring in video. You can present to a group. You can show off or do like a reveal, right? You can make these spaces really like ready for an event, to celebrate, to show something off, to do something special. So all of those features are coming down the pipe really quick. We're just kind of, we're parallel pathing, working with building out a lot of new spaces, still finding some partnerships, doing some outbound, but anybody who's interested, for sure. I mean, we want to have options in the near future where, yeah, if you just want to like borrow the space or utilize the URL and an access code to like host your own like meetup or get together with a big group of people, like let's talk. No sense in not shooting me a message and seeing what we could do. And then for anybody working, more in the corporate life, the 9 to 5, we want to work with brands and help them reinvent how they're engaging with audiences, or even anything from learning and development and beyond. I mean, we're really bullish on this technology to solve a lot of problems, and we haven't really come across a use case yet that like there's not something really cool we can do here. So we're just open to conversations and finding really cool solutions for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, I think like, in terms of use cases, what do you think about even like, I think people could use it for like meetings for work. Like I mentioned Zoom, like, what do you think about people using it for meetings?
Oh, for sure. I mean, we've basically, we've ditched Zoom and we only meet in here, especially when we're meeting with people for the first time, because like there's so many ways that it's just like, and I come back to virtual reality because that's, we do a lot in that space as well. And it is very hard to tell somebody how cool and impactful virtual reality is without getting them in a headset. And this is kind of the same thing. We can look at a 2D slide deck or watch a video about the platform and about what we're excited about, but we'd rather just be like, hey, click on this link and you can just join us, right? Like it's that simple. So we've moved all of our meetings onto here. Anything from a 2-person, 4-person small team meeting, all the way to tomorrow night's, banger of an event. So we've yeah, it fills that gap for sure. And that's just one aspect of it. I mean, a use case that I was excited about that we're going to be rolling out here in a little bit is, basically creating the virtual office place, but not like a boring boardroom or like meet me by the water cooler. Like we're going to make like a funky and cool space that people want to be in. Because so many agencies or businesses, small and large, I mean, people just work from home, right? They don't meet people that they work with in person anymore. And so kind of creating this social hub that can work for, pitches and events and social hours and whatever. It's like an always on thing. It's just like, hey, meet me in Simulacra and like we'll just chat about it. Or I'm going to do a presentation. We're going to utilize it like it's a meeting room. We're going to utilize it like it's an event space for our holiday party, right? It's going to be cool because, when we help build the technology to enable people to use it in ways that they want, like that's what gets us excited, and learning from people is like, how would you want to use this and what features can we build, because we're not stuck in our ways yet, right? We're actively listening for feedback. So that's why we're really excited for more people to, keep checking it out, keep letting us know.
Now, in terms of feedback, what about like uploading a graph?
What was that? You said uploading a graph?
Sorry, yes, about what about like uploading a graph?
Yeah, I think that's when so right now we've got a presentation screen that we're building in right now. And eventually, we're going to have a feature where it's like, all right, you're the admin, you're just going to do a screen share and you can show people all from like some massive TV that is inside of the space. As far as, I mean, we've done some really cool stuff with graphs previously where we show data visualized in 3 dimensions. So we have, graphs that you can climb on, right? That give you a sense of like, what this upward momentum might look like, or these different disparities between numbers. Because from a learning perspective, to see data in a way that you can actually kind of like, quote unquote, put your arms around it and its life size and it actually has a higher impact to it. That's really cool. So yes, I mean, completely. More shareable features coming very soon for, admins, right? It's like, how do we give you more control to do more with the space and actually have a bigger impact, have a more purposeful reason for getting together?
Again, I totally agree. I really love everything you're talking about here as someone who's, a big proponent of the Web3 and metaverse space. Um, and, not to get negative about it, but especially with all these, like, to just be real, right? Like diseases and, COVID and monkeypox or whatever the fuck is like, the next thing that's going around. The world's kind of, crazy and weird right now. So in a time where, kind of world event, the war going on, in a time where world events can, be a factor that are segregating people or separating people, I think the metaverse is kind of an answer to, if you do, there's another lockdown, blah, blah, blah. God forbid, right? Hopefully not. No one, I think, wants
Mm-hmm.
that. But, you know, in whatever situation, if there's some sort of thing where, or even you're sick or whatever it is, where, you kind of can't leave the house or, you're home for a bit, right? Or even just as simple as, like you said, working from home, um, it gives us extra space to connect. Now, another question here, and I think you said this, but just again to clarify, um,
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to have like any sort of VR headset to get involved or be a part of the metaverse that you have built with the simulacra. But it is fully, if you do have a headset, it is fully headset supported. I think you did say yes.
Actually, not at this time, which again is I think
Oh,
maybe
okay.
ironic
Sorry
to
about
a
that.
lot
Yeah.
of people. No, 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 all good. But that's a good clarifying point. We just found that 99% of our use was not in headset. Um, and we get it, right? I mean, adoption rates are still very low. There's a lot of people with headsets who have never done, more of a social or a casual experience in them either. So yeah, it may, be in the future, but we're just not there with adoption yet where, every single person and just ease of use. I mean, headsets are great. We love VR, but there are still a lot of barriers to us just being like, here's a headset and you're going to be able to figure out how to get into the experience. We're just not quite there yet. And there's a lot of stuff on the headset software that we can't control. So we're like, all right, what can we control? Publishing a website that runs, over the web, and we kind of know how people react to it. We know how the UX and UI works, and that's exciting for us because it's like, cool. We can we can really put our stamp on it and make it the best experience that we have control over. So, yep, just out of the web browser for now. But what's nice is that even on previous builds where we did have it in VR, everything is just running from the web. Like right, the same link on mobile on in a VR headset or from a desktop is going to take you to a shared space, and that's only going to get faster, more reliable, into the future. So definitely not, not the end of the road for VR implementation for us at all. We've even actually we've taken one of our experiences and built it into a standalone single player VR experience just to mostly prove that we could. So there might be something for that in the future for different like museums or branded experiences where they're like, hey, we'd love to have a VR build of this. Yeah, I mean that's completely possible. Just we're just really focusing on kind of the core user, which isn't a VR user at this point in time.
Yeah, and I want to say I agree with that as well. I had thought you said you had it, so I didn't. I don't mean to bring it up as like a negative or critical point. And
Oh, no, no, no worries, no worries.
yeah, and on the contrary to that, like I would agree with you 100%, man. Like I'm someone who's big in the space, right? I'm invested, like you know, relatively, heavily, other people have more and less, right? But I'm pretty invested in the space, NFTs, all that, right? But I don't have
Mm-hmm.
a VR headset either yet, because I agree with you.
Yep.
Like it's not something that everyone I know has. Some people I know have it, and they'll meet up, and I'll be like, oh shit, I wish I had one, and that's some of the stuff, right? That FOMO, whatever, that kind of drives you to want to get one. But I don't think it's a deterring factor at all. I think I agree with you again. Most people don't have a VR headset, even if they're in the space. And, maybe that's more to come somewhere down the line when it does get more popular. And I love that you're saying, that's a possibility. But I think 100% that, and maybe it would even be a mistake to, develop, devote resources to that type of development when, not a lot of people or not everyone's using that right now. So I
Mm-hmm.
love actually to hear that you're focused on what's important. You're thinking about the users. You're responding to the data that you're getting in real time. That it's not kind of VR based, but people do want to connect. They do want to be in the metaverse, and they just want it to be really easily accessible. And you don't need the NFT. You're coming straight from your web browser. You don't need a VR headset. So again, I love how accessible it is.
Yeah, for sure, and I appreciate that. I mean, and I get what you're saying too, and we talk to a lot of people who are more in the Web3 and NFT space, and are continually surprised that they aren't uh, as high of VR users. But like then we just get it. We're like, gotcha, those the mainstream confuses and buckets all of that stuff together anyways, and like we know the difference. But it is still just interesting to see. It's like, okay, gotcha. They're more focused on X, Y, and Z, and the people who are over in the VR world are focused on completely opposite things a lot of the time. And so, really, at the end of the day, right now, like we kind of use some of our parents as like guinea pigs. We're like, all right, let's build something. Let's see if they can get into it, get their avatar set up, get the controls set up, because they're not, they're a lot less digitally native than myself and other people on my team are, and they're a great place to look. It's like if we can make it work for them, that's a really good place to start because we know that it's an easy experience, and so that's just the bedrock of everything we do. And we have a lot of great experience doing that because of our, I don't know if I don't want to confuse it or get tied into it, but we have a physical location here in Minneapolis, Twin Cities area, where we put first time users into VR, we put first time users into augmented reality, and then we use our platform with them. And so we have really good knowledge of what average users know how to do and don't know how to do. And then that's just our North Star for all of this.
Yeah,
We
again,
basically have a testing ground. Like we put more first time users through immersive tech than maybe anyone else on the planet. And so we just have a lot of really good, it may not be scientific data, but we're just like, gotcha. We just put, we had a group of senior citizens come through and we had a group of eighth graders come through. How did they react differently to what we did? And how do we make something that works for both of them at the end of the day?
yeah, that's honestly amazing. I mean, scientific data, like who gives a fuck, about scientific
We're not
data?
writing white papers quite right now.
I mean, it's a setting where, it's not even scientific, what you're talking about. It's user-based experience, and you're getting user-based data from all different types of users from, it sounds like all different types of ages and communities and ranges. So, I
Yep.
think that's how you build a project.
Yeah, and the big thing at the end of the day too with a lot of this is that like we look at, Roblox a lot that has millions upon millions of kids using it every day, and it's a very young audience, but that same audience is going to grow up and enter the workforce and be more connected to brands in the very near future. And so, we're not building for that audience today, but we also understand that they're going to grow up with these three-dimensional social spaces that make a ton of sense to them. And if they are interested in a brand or a Web3 project that isn't harnessing that, they might look elsewhere, right? So, yeah, it's an interesting time for sure with
Yeah,
all this stuff.
you bring Roblox up because, again, I'm not like crazy like into the VR, whatever, metaverse, that type of thing. I don't even know if Roblox has VR. Um, but the exposure I've had to Roblox, it was funny. I got roped into it through this ad that Chipotle had, where if you
Yep.
went to, like the Chipotle metaverse, you would be able to get like some sort of coupon, or I think it was like a free meal or a free burrito. And
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, why the fuck not? So I actually went into there for that. Um, and
Same.
so the,
we're easily coerced when a free burrito's on the line for
so I mean,
sure all
burrito,
day long.
you offer burrito, I'm basically there. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
what I was going to lead into with that was when I was in that kind of Roblox portion of the Chipotle, I noticed they also had all these like games and all this other type of shit that they were running in there, and I think that was kind of the point, right, to get people to see that type of stuff, or to get kids or whoever playing those games. Now,
Mhm.
that's not necessarily what I'm spending my time doing, is playing the burrito making games in Chipotle. But there are games that I do play, right? I'm a gamer also, and I do like gaming, here and there when I have free time. It's a nice, kind of catharsis, release of stress sort of thing. So I guess
Mhm.
another question I would have is, do you have any intentions for that? Like, what do you think about the whole gaming side of things?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I think still at our core, and when we think about our audience, it really is non-gamers, non-techies, people who don't identify maybe as a gamer, even though that term, I mean, I don't know, started playing video games, whatever, 20, 25 years ago. I mean, you were never, this was before a lot of like online gaming. So you're like, yes, I play computer games like alone at home. Am I a gamer? I'm like, maybe. But nowadays, right, there's people who also spend 6 hours a day playing PS5. There's kids who spend 5 hours a day in Roblox, like doing social things with their friends. Are those gamers? I mean, it's all kind of this larger umbrella. And so we look at a lot of people who would definitely self-identify as a non-gamer, mostly when we think about the UI and the controls and the complexity, right? Because if you are a gamer and you're making this crazy play to earn NFT token verse that has all these rules and things to do, like that's fine. For some people, they're like they eat that stuff up and they're like, all right, cool. I want to do all these. I want to do all the side quests, all this stuff. But for a non-gamer, they might just be there to socialize, come to a special event, take in some cool content, meet some people, right? I mean, it's just like a different approach. So, um, as far as the audience goes, I think that that kind of covers that. But I would say though, and we've been talking a lot about this, is that something that we want to develop soon for our spaces is some type of game mechanics, right? So whether you are a gamer or not, I think there's a competitive streak in a lot of us where you're like, cool, I can collect something and I can earn something and I can trade it in for a digital good, whether it's in, an avatar outfit, or a physical good, whether it's, something from our space, or we're sending something out to people, whatever, right? Like people are willing to, like you did with the burrito, people are willing to do things in return for things. Also, something that that our team is very uh, familiar with is like a high score or a leaderboard. So I think that we'll find an interesting way to roll that out here in the next couple of months, where it's like, how do we build a couple of these mechanics that, say you're in there by yourself, there's still something for you to do that has a mission to it, right, and an end game. So yeah, I would look for something like that soon. We're just trying to kind of fully nail it down. I mean, a good example, our friends over at Red Wing Shoe Co., the guys that make all the work boots, and I don't know, you probably know them for that. They just released a Roblox experience, and I will say I spent about 30 minutes collecting coins so that I could buy my avatar to become a huge boot. Like I didn't put shoes on, I put a boot on my body is what they had as like a wearable. And you bet your ass I walked around and picked up coins until I could buy that, because A, it was hilarious, and B, it was like, cool, I've got a goal in mind. So again, I don't know if I would call that, was I gaming, but I did have a goal that I had to fulfill, and I had a reward in front of me. So I think all of that stuff, just like you see with NFT projects and stuff, like, hey, do these things for our giveaway, or do these things for, people like to be led down a path where they can get rewarded, or be surprised in some way. So I think all of that's on the table for sure.
Yeah, as a gamer myself, self-described,
Mm-hmm.
I would say, I welcome all people to the gaming community, and I would say that's definitely, gaming. To me, I'm loose with the definition.
Yeah.
Why not, call yourself a gamer? I'm not huge on labels in general. So you don't get tied up in that if you're a non-gamer, this and that, right? But um, when I think about the metaverse, a thought that comes to mind to me sometimes or semi-frequently is this game called Destiny, or Destiny 1, Destiny 2, I think is the one that's out that people are playing. And I don't play it a lot anymore, but I played Destiny 1, a little bit of Destiny 2, and there was, these lobbies, and like, or I guess you would call it a lobby. I forget what you call it, like, a headquarters or a meetup space or whatever the fuck, it was.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes, bro, you would spend like a disproportionate, seemingly, like funny kind of amount of time in there just setting up, or like getting your guys together, or just like talking to your friends, like bullshitting, like, while they're picking their loadout or something. But then they would have these like weird, funny little, like, I don't know, random things, like just like a ball to push around or something. And, maybe sometimes there would be like some goalposts or like some other shit like that, or you would make like fake goalposts, and you'd be like, all right, bro, like while this guy's picking his loadout, let's see who could, push this ball, and you try to be a goalie, blah, 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 and, who
Mm-hmm.
could score the most goals. So, I know you said, gaming is not the major focus of it, but again, just pure user feedback as someone who is a gamer or even someone who's
Yeah.
not, I think everyone likes these little kind of things to do, on the side, or, whatever with your, ADHD, or, just kind of spare attention, or keep your hands busy, keep your mind busy kind of thing. Like, a ball to push around, or like a tic tac toe, or like, something like that.
Yeah.
Um, Another question I have for you, as someone who kind of, like I said, demoed it, um, it looked like there was like some sort of unlockables, or like experience points, or like something like that. I don't want to speak too much for you, but what is
Mm-hmm.
that like? Because when I was asking about gaming, to me that's what I thought, like, oh, this, there is some sort of gaming aspect. It looks like there's unlockables, which again, I have the loose definition, but to me is gaming. What was that all about?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're working towards that. Eventually we'll have this larger ecosystem of experiences that are within the platform, and you're going to have people, and we get it, right? Like, we're going to have people that maybe come out to an event one time, and maybe they don't come back and use Simulacra ever. Like, we hope not. We're going to aim to do the opposite of that, but like, it happens with games, it happens with websites, whatever, people come and check something out, and they're like, cool, that was awesome. I might wait and see if there's another thing for me. And then hopefully we're going to have people who come out often, like you see with people who come out to Twitter Spaces, people that come out to hopefully more of the hangouts we're doing with the Flexi guys, etc. Right? Where how do we start to build, a reward system for people who are returning? How do they get points? And maybe not even points, right? How are they getting new wearables or new levels that just show them as, kind of a power user or someone who's been around the block a lot or somebody that has superpowers within the platform. I think all of that stuff would be a lot of fun. Just like when you think about character skins and weapon skins and like stuff that's like, oh man, that, like, for me, like when I earned that boot outfit, I was like, it didn't mean much, but I was like, all right, if somebody sees me, they're gonna be like, oh man, like that guy already got the boot, like he must be grinding or whatever, right? So I think there's a healthy balance as we figure out how do we appease the people who come back all the time, and how do we keep them excited and reward them for using the platform, uh, while also attending to somebody who's a first time user and a non gamer. Like it's kind of a tough balance to find, but I think we're gonna stumble on some pretty interesting insights that can kind of appease both of those audiences, right? Like I'm trying to think of a good example, for even online gaming, or like the flash games back in the day, that you would go to a website and it would have like a few fun games to play and you could have high scores, and you could unlock other levels and stuff. Like I think all of that works. We're just still testing the market and testing our users to see what's going to be most impactful. And like I said, it's all just about that direct feedback. So I think hearing from you, from a gamer's perspective or not, is just good knowledge for us to have, because like I said, we're open. We're a team that wants to make the things that people want to use. There's a lot of people in our space and in the technology space and in the Web3 space that build things without considering the end user or what's helpful or what's not already out there. And we don't really want to do that. We want to continue to build things that have purpose and that can
I'm
get
very
utilized.
that. I think,
Yep.
like, especially in the tech space, I think a mistake that companies make. I'm not going to call anyone out, but I think mistakes I've
Yeah.
seen some companies make um, is you have all these like brilliant people that in their own right maybe are like geniuses, right, so to speak, or some people would consider that. And their line of thinking is, what can we do with technology, what is possible with technology? And
Yep.
that's 100% respectable. I get why they think that and where they're coming from. And that's how we get some of the revolutionary technology that we have, is people always looking to push those boundaries. The, I guess, shadow side of that, maybe you would call it, or the kind of lack or gap that creates, is I think it's harder or less possible or less, advantageous, or just, not honestly the best idea or approach to come out with what can we do, and then
Hmm.
do it, and then go, all right, now how do we get people to want this now that we've like created this new frontier, as opposed
Yeah.
to what would people want and enjoy, and what do people want to do, and what is it from the user perspective, and what is the passion, what is the vision, what is the dream, what is the experience you're providing, and then going, okay, now we're like focused on that, we're brilliant technology experts, how do we go from understanding the dream of the end user experience, and then using our tech brilliance to implement technology that brings that to fruition in a way where the technology is, and you said this before, it's simple, it's integrated, it's accessible to the common user, there's not like some sort of barrier to entry or use.
100%. Yeah, we kind of reference that, just technology for technology's sake. And you see it a lot in Silicon Valley. You see it a lot in the VC and startup, you know. And the thing is, some really cool stuff comes from that, of course. But then you get a lot of stuff where you're just like, huh, I wonder if anyone has actually used that. And so, yeah, I mean, we just want to approach it in a different way, and it's no harm or anything against anybody else. Just how we're looking to do things over here, because we don't have the luxury to do that, right? I mean, there's a lot of groups that like, here's $50 million, and then they sit around and lose it all, or whatever, right? They come up with something that people don't want. We don't have the luxury to do that. We want to build. we want to build what's the word, value. Yeah, we want to just create value today for brands and groups and everybody else, where they're like, oh man, this was great, and we really enjoyed this experience, and we're excited for what's to come, or we're excited to help create what's to come from the other end of it too. So
Yeah,
yeah,
and
I feel
again,
that.
you know, I know you said you appreciate the feedback, so I'll give as much of it as I can.
Yeah.
Um, my 2 cents, something that stuck out to me that you said was, it's hard to find that balance between providing maybe something where you could have an office space or a workspace for a meeting,
Mhm.
to a corporate customer, to the business world, and then how do you balance that with also wanting to have a space where, it's for kids and for gaming, or, a teenager, someone in the
Yeah.
middle or whatever. And this is I love Gary Vee. I think I said that, but this is a big thing Gary Vee says, and the answer is always and, not or. I
Yeah.
think, you don't have to necessarily have a quote unquote balance. I think, or the answer to how you have to have the balance is, you just do both. And again, I don't want to like make a suggestion and it's like, well, you have no idea how hard that is technologically. I don't, or I don't know how hard it or easy it is. But to have kind of, separate spaces or separate rooms like within this metaverse, where there is like, a door or a portal that, you could teleport
Yeah.
or walk through, that's kid friendly, and, has like little games or drawing or something, like just drawing in the metaverse. And then another room or a door or a portal you could walk through where, it's 100% business focused, and there's like kind of no games involved, or, whatever that would
Mhm.
be, or it's more friendly to, like you said before, uploading a document or a graph, or visualizing, something that you're trying to see, or if, like you have architects or something, providing
Yeah.
like an AutoCAD within the system, or a visual mock-up. Another
Completely.
thing I would think is cool. I'm just brainstorming again, whatever, feel free to cut me off. It's like, oh, we can't
No, I
implement
love
all
it.
this, but I feel like if it's helpful, I'll say it, but and hopefully it is. But if people could, and I know you said one of the great advantage of this is you don't need an NFT, and that's not a focus. But something I think is cool about some of the other metaverses or similar spaces that I've seen people build is there's some sort of way or intention to integrate NFTs where you could be your NFT, you could be your avatar within the game. Now, not every NFT, and a lot of them, are PFPs. They don't even have fucking legs. So I think that's probably a tall order. Like, that's probably very difficult. But I don't know, bro. Just throwing it out there, like something where, maybe like you have a avatar and it's the one that you guys already have programmed. And if you have an NFT that's your PFP on Twitter or whatever it is, I don't know,
It
that's the
goes on the
design on
sweatshirt or
that
something.
character
Yeah.
shirt or
Yeah.
something. You know what I mean? Like, I don't
Yeah,
know,
that'd be
whatever.
really cool. Especially
Just
if we
throwing
can
it
use
out.
if yeah, if wallet connection stuff can be optional, like I think we're all there for it, but there's just a lot of platforms that are like you don't get to do anything until you connect your wallet. And it seems always like kind of ironic because like
And again,
the
if
web,
it's
the
either
web
that or nothing, I would say you guys have the right idea. Don't make the
yeah.
Wallet Connect a barrier, especially because, a lot of people have a lot of risks with Wallet Connect, and it's a major deterrent. But
Yeah,
yeah, bro,
exactly.
I'm just throwing out ideas.
No, I think that's awesome. I think there's some really cool stuff.
Or
And
even
that's
if
what we're
you don't have a Wallet Connect, right? Even if it's not like, the
yeah.
Twitter Blue verified, it links directly to your NFT. If you could, some level of customization where you could, and I know you do have some level of customization, but some level of, uploading a picture, uploading a JPEG,
Yeah.
even if you don't own it, where it's somehow represented on your persona or digital character. I don't know. I just think that would be, that might be cool.
No, we love it. I mean, I think that's definitely super near term to us is like how do we get super funky with allowing people to express themselves 100%. Yeah, I mean, I think just kind of going back real quick to clarify is, I mean, we are focused on building for, for enterprise, building a space for adults, but we also find that you can have a little bit of fun, doing stuff like this. Like it shouldn't be, oh man, I have to get on another Zoom call, right? It should be like, all right, cool, we're gonna like go hop around and like we're gonna meet up in this whimsical space, but we can talk about $1 million business idea that we're working on right now or whatever, right? Like I think that there's a little bit of balance and that's what we think is fun and always a good piece of it. Like if somebody asks us like, hey, build us a boardroom, we'll probably just be like, well, why? And then we'll come back with some better ideas that at least try to, you know, mix that up a little bit. Like I think in the space you're at with the VMinders meetup, we've got the gallery and it's fairly traditional, but it looks pretty cool. And then you go out to the deck and you're like in outer space, like, because why not, right? I mean, that's that's a little bit of like, all right, we can do something a little bit fun and funky with this rather than put it in base reality, because we have different rules we get to play by. Like I just climbed up to the top of one of our sculptures while I was in here because I was like, I'm going to test if I can, because at some of our previous meetups, when we were building early on, we had kind of these like brutalist architecture kind of sculptures and buildings that we were using, and we found out that everybody would just try to like climb the trees and climb the building to get to the highest spot, like we were kids on the playground again. And it was really funny. We're like, oh yeah, people do like to be, have a little bit of fun in here. And all the gamer folks are going to get in here and try to be like, all right, what can I glitch into? What can I jump up to? What can I try to find a way to break? Which is fine, right? That's what we're all here to find out. So, yeah, I mean, excited for tomorrow. Oh, I was gonna just not like wrap it up, but like coming back quick to tokens and stuff. I mean, we did mint 100 of these kind of Remy, our avatar focused tokens, that are on Ethereum through our Rem5 Studios kind of wallet account there. I mean, basically, if you come out to our event tomorrow night, you're going to be able to go up to that as one of the pieces of art. There's a link out to a type form where you're just going to basically put in a little bit of information and drop your wallet address. And then we're going to airdrop those to everybody who signed up for it, like who has a working ETH address. And we're going to drop those. And then, we don't have anything.
Yeah, if you want to drop that on the link or to the space, that'd be awesome too. If again people are listening, or you're listening on a replay, you go to my Twitter and scroll through a couple tweets and find the link to
Yeah.
this. I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I think that might be posting out later tonight too. But the thought is that okay, well, eventually, right, we're gonna have 100 people that do have this token that was special to our launch event, like, and we'll want to do something for them in the future, whether that's a gated event in the
Oh, and by
future.
the way, you said Remy. I'm sure the listeners have this question too. If I do, what's Remy?
Oh yeah, Remy's just the name of our avatar guy, so you can see him in my profile pic. He's kind of our, and I say he, I mean he's a non-binary space robot. So we don't, we actually chose this style because it does help eliminate a lot of things. Because once you go into, all right, I want to make an avatar that looks a lot like me, you need 10,000 different options to really make people feel, like they can express themselves in the space. And we're like, hey, we're going to start off with Remy, our character. For those who don't know, like the production studio is Rem5 Studios, who like builds the platform. So Remy, Rem5, that's kind of some of our terminology. So we went with that name for this character. So the NFT has kind of this cool posed version of the avatar, and it's got some like you know futuristic blue tones on it and stuff. And so we're like, all right, cool, let's mint that. We're going to get people with that in their wallets, and then we're going to be able to do some funky stuff in the future and reward them for like coming out to our event. So right, no near term plans, but we will want to start building this audience of people who have come out to stuff, and we think that tokens are a great way to start building that.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's cool. Now, another idea I have, and again, I'm just bouncing shit off of you, right? Like, you know, um, I don't want to be like coming across as like critical or this and that, right? It's just
No, I'm
suggestion.
here for it. I appreciate it.
Um, I think what if you had like an AA meeting in there? Like I know it's like kind of like a tangent or like offshoot idea, but I'm just kind of saying what comes to mind here. Like, people who don't want to be identified, people who go to AA meetings, they're people who find the comfort to leave their home, and it's anonymous, and what's said in the group stays in the group, and it's phenomenal that that is something that's available for those people. But
Mm-hmm.
what I'm thinking in regards to your platform is, what percentage of people would want to get help and go to a meeting of some sort, but they can't even even though whatever said in the meeting stays in the meeting. And, I've never, transparency been to one. So I'm saying this because I'm pretty sure this is how this works just from what I've heard. But, um, what if that's not even that's too much for people? And
That's a great idea. And I
right where
think
you
too,
could,
there's a lot of comfort in what, being able to speak your mind. I mean, there's therapy, group sessions. I mean, there's definitely a lot of stuff kind of in that vein
right.
that
And
I think makes a ton of
you stay
sense.
anonymous and, maybe someone, right. If it's a healthcare thing, maybe there's some registry and, there's an email that's approved and an access code and only certain people can join. And, you make sure whatever your healthcare covers, what I'm sure there's technical shit. And
Yeah.
I understand every idea I say. It's like, you have resources and people that can or can't handle it. But, I'm also getting the feeling that you guys are totally, dedicated to, doing this over time and staying committed. So, maybe it's not an idea that comes to fruition today or tomorrow, but maybe it is something that comes to fruition over the years. But, something I always try to do with my spaces is, in addition to giving you a voice and giving the project a voice and talking about everything, that I could do for the people that are using it kind of like on a regular everyday basis. I'm big on positivity. I'm big on helping the world. I'm big on
Hmm.
trying to find the niches of people who are, quote unquote, falling through the gaps that, whatever systems we have to help people today are kind of just missing them or not helping them. So that's something that comes to my mind is, maybe it's a small niche or it is what it is, but maybe, or if it's not the most profitable or whatever, but, I think, if you're a positive focus group, that would just be, and maybe it would be profitable, whatever, but I think it would be something awesome to see, um, is if like, you just find different ways that you actually bring real healing. If you want to call it that, I think it's appropriate. You bring healing to people who are in need of it. Um, and yeah, I think that anonymity, like, I think that would be a cool thing for you guys if you're not already or
Hmm.
whatever to think about as an angle or a paradigm is to think about a customer base of not only who would want to just like foster connection in the space, but who would actually want to take advantage in a positive way of that anonymity within the space.
I mean, yeah, that's a great idea. I think there's a lot of those types of like national, international organizations, and like you said, with a number of factors between how the world is, weather, driving, other issues, right? I mean, having this as an available platform for people who can't make it to certain things, I think makes a ton of sense. I mean, right? It's like, okay, there's, in the Twin Cities, I don't know how many meetup locations they have, but maybe there's just one for every major metro that's like, all right, 50 people that can't make it out in person, like you have this as an option once a week or whatever. I think that's a great idea. I think um, there's a lot to that because then it can scale, right? You just have, okay, we built an environment that's focused on what would make sense for an AA meeting and a lot of good resources and links and a lot of just feel good stuff kind of in one space that can probably have a lot of really tough conversations. And then you just build out one for every single metro or we work with them to be like, all right, how many different versions of this do you want so that people can actually self uh, get them into heck, it doesn't have to be geography based at all at that point, right? But I think sometimes maybe it's like that's a good first step for somebody who isn't ready to go to an in person. 100%. That's I'm looking up their website right now.
Awesome, bro. I
Always,
love to hear it.
it's always like
I
you try to
love
get
how
yeah, you try to get
responsive.
a hold of somebody. So.
I love how responsive and positive you are to the feedback. Now, whatever, kind of just jumping all over the place. Just going back to the regular user for a second. Another idea that I have for your project is, concerts and, maybe this one's obvious or whatever. You're already thinking about this again, but, I'm just going to keep putting it out there. Um, because worst comes to worst, you don't use it and who cares, right? But best comes to best, it does create value for somebody and it helps. So, I think if you have an idea, again, just for the listeners, I think if you have an idea, like try to put it out there and try not to get upset if it gets dismissed. Like try to just have the perspective that, you know, it's the only hurt I guess is your own feeling of feeling rejected. And if you are someone who's positive and wants to help the world, I think yeah, maybe rejection hurts and it's hard to deal with and this and that, and I'm not empathetic to that, but try to get a perspective where you see it's a small price to pay to put out your idea and put feedback. But yeah, I was just going to say like concerts in the metaverse, or concerts in your kind of universe, and then kind of adapting from the concerts, and even for other types of events that you have. um I know how familiar with you are. I would wager you've heard of it, but POAPs, or proof of attendance pass, POAP. That's what a POAP is if you don't know. um but it's like its own kind of like NFT or mini NFT or like offshoot NFT, where if you were at a certain place or at a certain time, you're in the registry list, people verify you, you get this kind of other token to say that you went. So I think it would be cool to have that for concerts. And then this is something I've said just in general about the metaverse and tickets and concerts, but especially if you hold it on your platform, to have some sort of way where you could like cross reference, or a software that automatically cross references and kind of helps you connect and match up with people that have been, maybe you didn't realize they were there, right? But have been to a lot of the same concerts that you have, or been to a lot of the same events that you have. And, it recommends, hey, you may want to message this person. You may want to, have a podcast with that person or whatever it is, but in some way connect, because there's this like verified way of knowing you have some sort of basis for conversation in a larger degree than maybe you would have realized. And you said it before, location based can help. It could be a good place to start. It's good to have people in your community, but there's billions of people in the world, and statistics wise, the statistics I don't think are probably very, I've never run the numbers, but I would wager they're not very high, that the people you're just naturally most compatible with in all of the billions are going to happen to be in a large density in the geographical region that you live in. So, if you could provide this platform in this way for people to, meet the other people that are more compatible with them, more like-minded, have, more similar shared interests, and they don't even have to kind of do the work or like have, the kind of small talk to get there. It's something where it goes, hey, it's recommended because you have all these similar POAPs. You've been to actually all these same things. You just didn't know you were there together. Um, whatever. Some of these ideas are larger ideas, but I'm just putting them out there into the world, because who knows who's listening, and maybe someone will hear it and be like, yeah, let me partner with these guys. So whatever. But I'm
Yeah.
positive. Maybe over idealistic sometimes. Like I've been quote unquote criticized for that, but fuck that, man. I don't think you can be over idealistic. Like throw out as many ideas, and if it's possible, it's possible, and if it's not, don't take it to your ego. Um, but yeah, dude, hopefully that's helpful. Like, I get inspired about this shit, and I just want to kind of create as much value and positivity to the world. So as much, again, as I want to create a space for you to promote your project and tell people what you already have, I also want to throw my 2 cents in, and maybe my idea helps you guys or helps other people or helps your users or whatever it is.
Heck yeah. No, and we get that. I mean, we're all about it. You got to take your shot. You got to, you know, see if people want to do something, because there's a lot of people out there that, yeah, that are excited to connect and collaborate, and it's we're more powerful together than alone, right? So that's what we're here for.
Dude, again, I love it so much. I love to connect with positive people in the space. This is kind of an aside, but my personal story growing up, um, I always had trouble up to a certain point connecting with other people and making friends. And eventually, I've been through therapy, and I recommend therapy, and I've gotten over a lot of that. And now, people kind of see me as this outgoing person that's a social butterfly, some people have even said, and which is always funny to me, because
That's
some part
awesome.
of me self-identifies inside as kind of being this like closeted gamer, like a little bit afraid of the world individual. um but sorry, I kind of lost my train of thought for a second there. But anyway, basically just saying that I'm very in love with your platform, and that it provides a basis for people like me, that maybe are a little bit introverted and maybe haven't done the therapy, maybe haven't gone through it yet, to have this kind of intermediary place where you're still kind of getting to a place where maybe you can have interactions in real life, um, but where you either can't because you don't feel comfortable, or can't just because physical distance limits it, and it's just not realistic that everyone who's really naturally going to be attracted to you is in your physical space. It kind of solves that problem. And when people come out with a company or a product, a smart or like necessary or logical question I think to ask is what problem is this solving in the world? Because if it's not solving a problem, there's art, there's entertainment, and that solves the problem of, I guess, boredom and this and that. But if you're not solving any type of problem, sorry to say it, but you're probably not going to be super successful as a product. Like things that sell, things that have value, things that generate money are things that solve a problem. So I see so many possibilities for the metaverse. I see so many possibilities for your problem. I see so many possibilities for your platform to solve
Mhm.
problems. And I'm just excited about it. Now, not to kind of cut it short or anything, I actually, I don't have another um, podcast after this, so and I'm free for a bit. So if you want to keep it running, I say let's keep it running. As much as you want to get out here, as much as you want to talk about. Also, want to be respectful of your time, though. We are, at the hour, slightly over. Um, I just kind of want to check in with you. Do you want to see if any? Well, we have two listeners in here. Do you want to see if anyone wants to come up and like ask questions, sort of thing? Do you want to close out? Do you want to keep going?
Yeah, for sure. If anybody's got anything they want to add or a cool experience that they've tried, or questions about what we're up to, like let's do it. But if
Cool. So
not, I mean,
we'll
yeah,
open it
thanks for
up.
the time, but we'll see. Yeah.
Obviously, don't feel obligated to come up. If you're doing something and you just have it on listen or whatever it is, that's fine. Want to make sure always everyone feels welcome and comfortable. But if you do have a question or you want to join the conversation, feel free to come up, request. I'll definitely, obviously, approve it. No one's requesting yet, so I'll assume probably everyone's just hanging out listening again, which I said is fine. But yeah, Simulacra, how are you feeling here? Just kind of temperature check. You want to keep going, keep opening up, talk about things, or do you want to wrap it up? And I'm honestly totally fine with either.
No, I appreciate it. This has been awesome. A lot of good back and forth, a lot of good stuff to talk about. I mean, we've yeah, we're excited about the future and how all of this stuff's going to continue to come closer together, and all of our worlds are going to continue to combine. So this is only the first couple steps here. So I think everybody's really excited for next year. See kind of where everything kind of plays out for sure, both in the metaverse space, the Web3 space, the VR space, the AR space for sure. And yeah, we're excited. We're just clicking away. We're going to continue to add more features. We're always excited when people reach out. We have a couple different contact forms, or just hit us up on social media here on Twitter, Instagram, whatever. I mean, we're just excited to make those connections and learn a little bit more about what other people are doing in the space, or if they're just want to learn more, they want to meet up and do a tour and chat with me in the platform, like I'm all about it. So always feel free to reach out. That's kind of the big thing. Take your shot, send me a message. Let's see if we can make something happen, because that's the only way things are going to happen. So I appreciate the time. I mean, I think I'll probably have to bounce, just because we've got the big event tomorrow. We got a few more things we're still throwing together here to make sure everything looks good, runs good. We've got our giveaways going on and a bunch of cool stuff. So yeah, I guess
Now,
maybe last.
Simulacra, this obviously
Yeah,
could be a longer discourse here, but I guess a
yeah.
TLDR, keep it short. Um, One question on my mind is, obviously I've been calling you Simulacra the whole time, and if you're not doxed, feel free to not answer this question. But do you want to just give a quick, I don't know, 2-3 minute, whatever it is, or up to 10 minutes, I get however much time you have, give a quick rundown of who you are. If you want to tell us, what your name is, how and why you got involved in this, why you're passionate about it, why you believe in it, and then totally down to close out.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a great question to roll it on. Sometimes different groups. Yeah, I've been meeting with some people in the Web3 space where I'm still don't actually know what their name is, but I think that's fine. We all sometimes live as these other versions of ourselves. My name is Brian, though. Yeah, living up here in the Twin Cities, kind of working with the Rem 5 Studios team, which is our larger agency that produces the Simulacra platform.
Wait, Brian with an Y or I?
With an I. Oh,
Yeah,
bad answer.
you said
No, no. Sometimes there's us Bryans. That's the first thing we have to ask each other. It's a bit of a smell test.
That's hysterical. Okay, so my name is not Brian, but my, I'm doxxed too. I don't, I'm out here. I'm public. I'm here for the people. My name is Ian Lepkowski, and it's a funny, stupid, corny little thing, but I always think it's funny when other people have names that have my name inside of their name. So like, I don't know, like Adrian or like Brian or something. So
Yeah.
that's just my personal like goofy little reason why I was asking because I don't know. It's I get it though. It's funny. It's corny, but I'm like, oh, okay, we have some connection. I'm inside Brian. I'm inside you. I'm there. But
It
sorry,
all
keep going.
it all starts somewhere. I mean, it's funny how more and more of those the simulation is slowly showing itself, right? So soon enough, it'll all be revealed, right? But yeah, I mean, I've been working with the REM 5 team here for a little over 3 years, which is AKA before the pandemic, if any of you remember those times. And so basically when that hit in March, we had started exploring these types of environments. But the pandemic happens. It really puts quite a bit of a damper on our physical location and our general mission of getting people into high end VR experiences for a number of verticals. And so we basically quadrupled down on building experiences for this platform, and just learning more about what other people are doing in the space, what kind of markets are being underserved, and then how can we fill the white space that really isn't getting, excuse me, a lot of attention. So we did some projects with Target. We've done some projects with the Minnesota Twins, so kind of some of our bigger brands we've worked with. But then we've done like everything in between. We were doing live comedy shows. We did a couple concerts. We were doing art galleries. We were doing stuff with big public arts projects. We did like this crazy hybrid gallery where you actually walked through a blank gallery in a VR headset that was in a version of the digital twin of the gallery with all the art hung on the walls. That was really cool. So like we were like, right, this was 2020 and we just had to experiment because everybody was playing defense. Like nobody was here to be like, yeah, we want to like do a big project, right? I mean, so we were like, cool. What are the different ways we can start utilizing this technology and getting people exposed to the three-dimensional internet? Um, and then since then, I mean, kind of in these last 9 months, we debuted our first like new NFT gallery on this platform, really for VCon. We were out at a couple places in person. We had a big party at our space as one of the after parties, and that was really cool. We actually got Beeple to try out Simulacra during VCon. He was at one of the parties we were at, and we're like, "Holy shit, is that actually him?" Because like like there's those people you've seen on the internet or you really don't know what they look like, and you're like, I'm not, my brain's not comprehending that that's who I think it is. As I'm talking to him, playing our platform, and he's like, "There's not enough Beeple pieces in here," and I'm like, "What? you think we can? You think we can afford that?" So that was funny. Yeah, I mean, and then since then, right, we're
Real
kind
quick
of
to
we're
the side, it's funny you mentioned that because
yeah,
I can relate to the feeling that you're talking about. When I went to this event in New Jersey at like Nationals something card convention where Gary V like had a trading booth and like they were doing like a bunch of sport cards like all around and like even Gary V had some sport cards, but a lot of it was focused on the compete and collect. And when we got there, like I don't know, I guess what I was expecting. I guess I was expecting a larger kind of crowd to show up for Gary V or whatever, but I guess not everyone wanted because like I've been to other events and it's like packed out. So I thought it I
yeah,
guess would be more like that. And it was very accessible. And we walk up to the card thing and I'm talking to my friend for a second and we turn around and bro, there's Gary V. And like I had this moment where I was like, holy shit, like I didn't stand online, I didn't do this, I didn't do that. Like if I want to buy a card from now, the guy I'm talking to that's working the booth right now, I'm pretty sure that's Gary V. And like obviously I was sure, obviously it
yeah.
was Gary V, but like it was just this moment of like, holy shit, like is that really Gary V? So I feel like I could relate to what you're talking about with people. But sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, for sure. Um, no, I mean, I think yeah, we're really excited for kind of this big launch event tomorrow night. We're hoping to pack the place out, really start to push the limits, of our tech stack, and just keep getting better with it. And then we're kind of the next phase for the next month here going into the end of the year and then early next year is really just doing a bunch of outreach, trying to find brands and communities that want to do something different. I mean, there's a lot of big brands who are leading the space, the Nikes of the world, but there's so much room for everybody else, and it's not going backwards, right? So um, we're really excited to find some really cool use cases, and we're already having a lot of really cool conversations. So it's going to be an interesting, 6 months, 12 months here for sure.
Yeah, and I think that's people, or sorry, I think people that aren't involved in the NFT space, hopefully, I bet a lot of people that are listening are involved, but hopefully some of the people that listen to this aren't involved and are learning about it and using this as a resource. And yeah, I just think that in general, you have this accessible platform, you have all these events going on, you're doing all these things for people, you're open to feedback, you're someone who clearly, I asked, why are you passionate about this? Who are you? Clearly, you're someone who's passionate about it because you're technically minded, you see the value and the benefits of where the technology could go in the future, and even if it's not 100% there today, what some people don't realize who are skeptical about that are skeptical about the space
Mm-hmm.
is the dedication and commitment and financial investment and time investment of the people that are involved in the space. So as someone who also myself is just heavily involved, I really believe in it for all the same reasons you do, and probably more, or the same or whatever it is, not to one up, sorry, but you know I think that's what people don't realize is really the point. Like, oh, people think it's a fad, it's this, it's that, it's gonna go away. And the reason it's not a fad and the reason it's not gonna go away is because there are very real people out here, like you, like myself, like all the other creators and founders and builders that you know really do see the potential and understand that this is the future.
Mm-hmm.
And just like before the internet came out, before people widely adopted Facebook, people said the same thing about all that shit, that all that was a fad and it wasn't going to catch on. And now everyone and their grandmother is on Facebook, right? So I think if you're skeptical, just understand you're probably going to end up on the side of history, and no big deal, don't feel embarrassed, but try to get kind of caught up now on the idea that people who don't believe in it are going to kind of be the people that, got into Facebook later, got into the internet later, people who, when the internet came out and eBay came out, oh, I'm not putting my credit card into the computer. And maybe there was reasons to have valid concerns about that in the very beginning, but eventually everyone's using eBay, everyone's on the internet, everyone's making purchases online, and Amazon's like one of the biggest or second biggest, right? Like companies are most profitable in the entire world. And it's like, this is what NFTs are. This is what the space is. And I just want to, again, shout that out, second that value. You're a genuine positive person from my perception. So I support you. I support what you're doing. We'll kind of wrap up here. Any other things, again, you want to say about yourself, or like a kind of last mic drop thing, or anything you want to go out with here?
I don't know if I have a good mic drop. I I'm not sure if I did them right, but I did reply to the Spaces tweet. Yeah, just another thing. I mean, anyone listening between now and tomorrow night, come on out to the event. There's a lot of times where people talk about, oh,
Yes,
there's
by the way,
there's nobody in the metaverse. I mean, we're hoping to have 100 of our avatars running around, people having conversations, people meeting artists from all over the world, people meeting myself and the team. And yeah, I think when you come out to an event that is actually well done and well executed, that has a good turnout, like that's when you see, like you did with the vMiner space, like when you see a bunch of people having a great time in one of these platforms, that's when the light bulb goes off, versus all this talk about there's nobody out here, there's all this bought land and there's nobody in there. Like, we're not focused on that. We like to execute events, give people a reason to come out and have a good time, for even whether you can stay for 20 minutes or 2 hours, we'll be out there. So yeah, anybody who can make it out. There's the Eventbrite link that I tweeted at this one, but if not, I think I've got an automatic tweet going out to the Simulacra account at like 7 or 6:55 tomorrow that's going to have all the information either way. If you do the Eventbrite, you can get in for some of the giveaways. But hey, this isn't going to be our last event, our last rodeo, so we just want people to come try it out and see what we're up to. Ask questions, get excited, and help us kind of create and make a path into this next generation of the internet.
All right, phenomenal. So you heard it here. This is Brian from Simulacra. Again, a positive person, someone who I hope you kind of got the same takeaway that I did here. A builder in the space, someone who's passionate. This is the Talking About Life podcast, and a lot of people ask, "Oh, what is it about life?" It's kind of general. I like to keep it general. I like to welcome everything, but if there was a focus, it would be what people are passionate about, because I love to focus on people's passions and build people's passions. Real quick, too, as we close out, someone commented that one of the links wasn't working. So obviously, after we close out here, if you could just post like the working link or respond to that person, which I'm sure you will, that would be
I probably tried to finger it in while we were chatting, and maybe I hit the wrong button, but
all good, no worries. So we'll fix that. Like I said, you respond to feedback like crazy, so love it. Love people who welcome feedback. Not a good perspective to take feedback as like personal or criticism. Whether you agree with it or not, you should always hear it. Just hear what people have to say. I always close out, or not always, but a lot of time here I close out with a message from my good friend Afakasi Brand. He always does this on his spaces. That's called the Barbershop. He's just a good friend of mine. This is not a paid sponsorship. I just think it's he's a good dude. It's a good space. But he always says, if you haven't heard it today, you are loved. The universe is full of love. And even though there's dark times, there's, always going to be light to balance it out. The yin and the yang, the positivity of the world. Simulacra, thank you again so much for coming on. Brian, pleasure meeting you. Hope to connect more and go to more events and just deepen our relationship and our connection in the space. I know I already said this, but any last final words?
Last final words is Tack was right. I missed a letter in the link, but I've updated it in with the to the spaces thread. So yeah, I mean, thanks everyone listening now, listening into the future, and yeah, just feel free to reach out or connect. Follow us on socials and you see what we're up to. But I appreciate the time here tonight and the platform to get to jam and hang out a bit. It's nice. Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you so much. Like I said, would love to have you back on sometime if there's something else that you want to talk about, and we could find an opening where we could connect. This is kind of sort of the beginning of this podcast for me, so we're seeing where it goes and what direction it heads in. But I'm super open to feedback, kind of like you are, or exactly like you are. I'm open to any direction people want to go in, as long as it's positive, as long as it's helpful, as long as it's about passions and delivering some sort of value. It's a big Gary V thing. Again, I'm a Gary V guy, but even an interview that you think doesn't deliver value, or only delivers value to one person, or you and the person who's having the conversation, and it just delivered value to the both of you. I think that's still worth it. Any value is value. Any connection you have, you never know where it could go. I think you should connect with as many people as possible. I think you should be open minded, and I think you should be friendly and trying to find the similarities between people instead of differences. And again, if you haven't heard it today, you are loved. That's a message from my good friend Afakasi at Afakasi Brand on Twitter. Check him out. Go to his barbershop. Check that out too. And thank you for listening. Hope to see you on more podcasts. Peace out, everybody. You are loved.